on the internet. KNTK-FM first, 93.7 The Ticket. Pass the sticks to the Nebraska Esports Squad as they take you on a journey through the wonderful world of video games. Right here on Big Red Esports on 93.7 The Ticket and the FM.com.
Well, another week down. We're back here. Welcome to Big Red Esports. Before we get any further, I am Jaden Shelkey. I'm the Call of Duty game manager.
I'm Z. I'm the Nebraska Esports Club president as well as the League of Legends game manager.
So before we get any further, I do want to go over some stuff of recent news that has come out about conference realignment, and I want to give my thoughts and opinions, even though that's probably covered in length in the past 24 hours here. I just want to give my take on it as a student, as someone who's a huge fan of college football in general, and I want to try to give my take on how it could help us specifically in esports and how the Big Ten esports scene could improve because of this. But first, I want to say conference realignment is it's great in some ways. It's definitely got positives, but I do think that there's a lot of negative to be taken out of this, and there's a lot that's lost. It kind of goes in line with a lot of what I said. There's a lot less soul. It feels less. All of the major of college football is consolidating into now 3 conferences, with now rumors of the starting to collapse, with Florida State rumored to maybe go to the Big Ten. And that could be now, that could be in a couple of years. I don't know. But the rumors are out there, and that'd be one more thing that would just really solidify that. And I think it's tragic in a lot of ways that we got to this point that there's no governing body. The NCAA has failed to be that body that says we can't allow this to happen. Conferences, as in Oklahoma, didn't like the TV deal or the media deal at the Big Ten. They decided to go to the SEC, the biggest money cash cow, on the market. And the Big Ten currently is, but that's only because of the amount of research that we do in this conference, which is lacking in the SEC, and they just happen to have better media deals, even though we recently got a deal with CBS and all of this at this point. But conference realignment has ruined a lot of the culture, a lot of the soul of what made college sports, And so, for example, regionality is no longer a thing. And for many people at the college level, being able to drive to nearly every game was huge. Being able to choose which game you wanted to go to out of your conference lineup, we could say, as Nebraska fans, when we were in the Big 8, right, or the Big 12, we could say, all right, we want to go to Iowa State, or we want to go to K-State, Oklahoma, right, Colorado. They're all drivable. That's drivable. They weren't even in the conference until like the 90s, but still, that's something that was possible. Texas Tech, all of those, they're drivable. The Texas ones are a little bit on the border, but now I'm not driving to Rutgers. And now we have the chance of a softball player having to go from Oregon to Rutgers. And then there's also the chance that a Nebraska football team could have the schedule where they go from Lincoln to LA to Lincoln, back to LA to Lincoln to Washington to Lincoln to Oregon. It doesn't make sense. Regionality is gone in at least the Big Ten. The SEC has been very proficient in keeping that regionality, and that's what's going to keep them great. The Big 12 has kept regionality. They have Texas adding Colorado, but the Big Ten is going to be really a struggle for regionality and building those rivalries up because they're not close, because it's such a struggle to get that kind of connection when they're not close. That's what made Nebraska and Iowa easy and so quick to become a rivalry. Iowa's been thinking us as rivals since the 90s when we played them once and we beat them. And now they're actually a rival because we fell so far and we realigned conferences to play them every year. That's what happened. And now we have a fervor. And it's a rival now because we've actually won in the last 8 years. And it's so crazy to me how fast all this happened too. Within the last year and a half, this is the last season of what we know as college sports. The Big 12 is now going to be the best basketball conference by a long shot, and the SEC stays dominant in a lot of metrics. Stanford is likely to become independent, which hurts their chances to become a national champion in every sport that they play, because they find every niche sport and, just kind of invest into that and get a couple of championships. They have the most championships out of anything, really, because they do that.
Mhm.
And this hurts their kind of identity in a sense, because they don't have a conference to play against other teams when those sports become a thing.
Mhm.
And now Stanford, I don't know what they're going to do for volleyball. They're one of the premier volleyball schools, basically out of a conference, and I don't know if we're going to pick them up.
Mhm.
I don't know if we're the premier volleyball conference, but we're not pick them up just for volleyball. And their football team would not really fit the identity of the conference. They fit in almost every other metric for the, but still, going on a rant, going on a tirade. I think we've done something because good, and not asking if we should.
Hmm.
We've really hurt the economy or the ecology, not the economy. The economy of college football is going to go up. It's basically becoming a semi-pro league at this point. Um, but we didn't ask if we should. We didn't ask if, and I say we, the conference, officials were basically just doing to. It was an arms race, and I think it's mostly. There's going to be a couple more. I think the CC might die, and then it'll be a power 3. But still, it's just bad for most things.
Mhm.
And the only way that I see conference realignment being a good thing is for esports, which is it's the only thing because it's not regionally locked. Most of everything is online. LAN tournaments are once in a blue moon for right now anyway, and they can be hosted anywhere. We're centrally located, so it really benefits us because everybody can come to us and split
Mhm.
costs.
We're the halfway point.
We
Mhm.
are for a lot of them, and we're close to a majority of the Big Ten teams now. Well, we have been, but we're one of the closer schools, and it'd be better for, Oregon, Washington, those coast schools to come to us. It'd be better well, it'd be kinda rough for Rutgers, to go to us, or Maryland to go to us because
Mhm.
there's so many other schools in that East-West. But we're in a good position.
Mhm.
We can now network with the West Coast, and we can have conference tournaments, including those schools, including those fan bases, those teams. And I think it'll also be great for us to have more connection, have more interrelation across the country, and allow us to build up the identity of college esports across the country instead of just a regional aspect.
Mhm.
Uh, that's really what I've got for right now.
The nicest thing about esports is that we don't really have to travel all that much, and the biggest burden, I'd say, especially on your your mind and your body, is traveling. Even if you are taking a plane flight and it's gonna cut off your travel time by a few hours. I used to fly all the time because my family's all the way across the country everywhere, and flying takes so much out of you because you have to go through security, you make sure you have everything checked in, you have to, make sure you have your checklist finished out, and then you have to wait to an airport for who knows how long, sometimes you get laid over, sometimes the person there on time, and it's really stressful. It's not a calming or relaxing experience, and that really messes with you mentally. And then also just, like, the physical aspects of you're getting cramped into this tiny little not tiny, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a really small space that's gonna go up in the air, and you're not gonna really get that much rest, and it's not a comfortable position. You're not gonna feel great. Sure, driving, you're not gonna get in a comfortable position either, but at least that way, it's, like, it's close enough, in my opinion. You're not taking constant flights. That's the other thing. It's gonna be expensive because 'cause you're flying out everywhere, and it's just not gonna be an able experience, I don't think. Flying back and forth between different places, especially for games, like, every other week, you're going back and forth from LA to Washington to Nebraska and back, and, like, just back and forth. It's gonna be so tiring, and it will really, like, affect, I think, players' mentality and their physicality.
Yeah, and the interesting to think about part of this is they're student athletes. Student comes first. There's exams on
Mhm.
top of this. There's homework, lessons, everything on top of this. And when they're spending most of the time traveling or away from those classrooms now, it's going to be interesting to see how the Big Ten schools adapt to this, because academics has always been a primary focus for a lot of these teams. At, maybe not all of them, but most of them, right? And now we're going to see how that changes with a nationwide league. And part of what made the Overwatch League kind of crumble is the fact that it had so much travel time involved, because it was back and forth, or from one place to the next place to the next place. And the way that they put it, I think, was trying to resemble the WWE, where there's no home base and they just travel from place to place. And so there's no sense of home, there's no sense of anything. And there's really so much travel that it really wears down
There's
on
no
a person.
uniting force.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. It's like you were saying earlier, especially with the Big Ten and everything. It's have this uniting area. You have your Midwest area, then that's your claimed spot. That's your home area. And we're losing. We're not going to have that same distinctive home base area, and it's gonna really kind of jumble the type of spirit that we have, especially related to teams. Because where do you belong if you belong in like half the United States is in one area? You're part of one conference, and it's gonna be this ginormous area. Like, how are you gonna unite all of that?
Yeah, these super conferences are going to be interesting to look at, interesting to work with in terms of identity and seeing how it all meshes out, because it's really down to the Big Ten is now a North Conference. It's not a Midwest. It's a North Conference. It is split across the board. There's nothing below. I think we're the southernmost. Maybe the LA schools are more south than we are, but
I think
it's close. Either
it's
way,
really
it's close. And still, that's crazy though, that it's going to be a North and South, and the South is split between Southwest and Southeast with Big 12
which is
and
so
SEC.
weird. It's just I don't know. It feels like there's so much empty space between everything.
Well, we don't have any Mountain Time Zone teams. That's the other thing we didn't even add. There's ground between the West Coast and Nebraska.
Mhm.
It's kind of crazy.
You just take a jump.
We,
You have to.
we had an opportunity, in my mind, to at least get Utah, at least something in that Mountain Time Zone, to break it up a little bit, bridge the gap,
Mhm.
but we didn't. And now what's there? Boise State, and they're not going anywhere. They're in the Mountain West, and that's not looking to break up. Like, the Mountain West is fine, I guess, but it's just so wild to me that the Big Ten, when I say we, decided to jump the Mountain Time Zone entirely
Just gonna
and just
skip
get
it.
a foothold across the West Coast, and now is looking to go, maybe looking, I can't, it's rumored, looking to get a foothold in Florida with Florida State.
To have like a halfway point between that West Coast and us.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird. I mean, it's nice because then we're like the halfway point from Florida to the West Coast. But then if you don't want to travel the entire way to Nebraska or the entire way over to the West Coast, we don't have like that middle ground.
Yeah, I was talking with with some of my friends yesterday when the news broke, and it was like, well, how sick would it be to go to Seattle or the Huskers play? We're like, man, it'd be really expensive to go see the Huskers play in Seattle,
I can't imagine.
in Oregon, any of those. You go to LA, that'll be the worst in terms of price, at least for a college student,
Mhm.
unless it's, even if it is the whatever travel game, like the designated travel game, even if it is that, that's still gonna be so expensive. The travel games anyway are still very expensive for
I
students.
would pay for a homegrown Nebraskan to try to find their way through the Seattle airport.
I could probably do it.
There are trams. There's so many underground trams in that place.
Yeah, there's
I mean,
a couple airports.
There's definitely
Yeah.
like
Denver.
Denver is
Yeah.
also. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
But
I
it's like
actually spent a lot of time in the
The Denver airport's actually
Pretty
kind of nice. I like looking around it. There's a lot of art and stuff.
Yeah.
It's very
Cool.
interesting. But what I'm saying is just like if you've never been to like
Mhm.
a big airport, the only one you've really been to is like Omaha, and maybe you stop over in like Arizona or something. These smaller airports that aren't as intricate. The minute you touch ground down in like LAX or Seattle, it is just so much harder to like navigate
I feel like when most people fly though, at least in my experience, my family always flew from Omaha to Denver and then to wherever else. It's the main route is what people take, I think. So
Yeah.
But
it just depends on the person, I
I was gonna
guess.
say like some people from Nebraska never flown before. Drive everywhere.
Mhm.
That's just a very big Midwest thing I've noticed. Is I bitch drive everywhere.
All right. I spent I'd say before I got back, I drove everywhere for that trip. So we spent
I found that
days
out
driving.
that Nebraskans don't really like to fly.
I hate driving, so I will gladly fly anywhere.
A lot of people around here though just don't fly anywhere.
Mhm.
They just drive.
It depends on the gas rate.
That's true. That
It-
is very true.
'Cause depending on where it's at, economically speaking,
Mhm.
and how far away your flight is, that impacts if I'm gonna fly or not.
Don't drive to California.
Oh, I've done it. Not the best time.
The gas
Well, I've done it twice now.
prices awful.
They're not as bad as they have been. So
It's always
When I
it's
drove.
usually always double whatever's here.
Mhm.
there's actually a few places that we stopped at. It was actually about the same. It was about 4.
That's
4 or 5
impressive.
-ish.
That's
Yeah.
really rare.
Yeah. So the one place that was about $7 was just outside of Vegas. There's a like
Oh,
massive
okay.
gas station right by Vegas.
I know exactly.
Yeah, that's a con. Like but we go, 20 miles further west and it's, $5
Mhm.
instead of 7.
Well, it's just like I don't know. Living in California for most of my life, it was always double whatever the Midwest was. So even living in a tiny mountain town is always
Oh, we're just cool out here.
it was always so expensive. And so when we moved here, it was like having our halving,
Mhm.
cutting our like gas prices in half. It saved us hundreds of dollars.
Mhm.
I would never drive out to California just because of the gas prices that it can get to, and it just gets so expensive. Everything out there is way more expensive too. Like a
Yep.
gallon of milk is so much more expensive than
Yeah,
here.
it's just how the economy works in that state. Is just,
Well, I mean, they're more expensive everywhere by 7% on average over
Yeah.
the past 5 years. So
it's just
everything's more expensive.
yeah, and it's just the economy. And again, like per state, costs if it usually costs more to live in that state, then everything else is going to cost more in that state, and you're going to get paid more in that state hypothetically. Not
I was
technically
gonna say
always,
hypothetically.
but most of the time, if it's a good company, it should pay you a good amount of somewhat live.
Yeah.
Well,
Again, I'm saying somewhat.
somewhat.
I'm saying somewhat.
Okay.
It's still rough out there, but I don't know. Just from my moving out there, it was not the greatest. People ask me a lot of times, like, "Oh, would you ever move back?" Absolutely not. I don't think it's worth it. Even if you do get paid a lot, never gonna be enough. There are always expenses. Right when we left, they had doubled our water like price, our
Wow.
like utility price,
That makes sense.
and that was even like near the end of our drought. It was just too expensive to live there. There's fires everywhere. It's just like not worth everything out there.
Well, so what's interesting about the fires and stuff is because the citizens decided to say we can't do controlled burnings of brush, like dry brush, and that's what caused more fires. Because
No, and
Yeah.
I
it's crazy to me that just thinking about it, because Kansas does control burns all the time,
We
and
do
they end up.
control burns all the time.
Oh
too in
yeah,
Nebraska,
yeah. I just know the Kansas ones because they always end up going out of control.
well, I think that it's a very normal part of nature for things to burn down. That's how you get new forests, especially with pine cones and everything. Those are like very like frequent in California. And there's a lot of places with dead old wood that just catch fire. You need to either go up there and remove it or burn things.
Mhm.
That's just how it is. That's just how nature works. And I think like if California would really like regulate that and kind of not regulate it, but like really keep an eye on making sure you don't have flammable things everywhere. It can happen less often.
We deviated a lot, but I want to just.
We talked
Yeah,
for like an hour and a half about eating Pokemon. I think this is
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. So what's interesting about all of, not all of, but a lot of California, a lot of Nevada, especially Vegas, all of these cities and towns and settlements, everything, drawn insane amounts of water from everywhere, right? Like
Yeah.
Lake Mead, especially the Colorado River, and they've been doing agriculture. We know agriculture, and that's something I really noticed in Utah was you have 110 plus degrees and lasts for 31 days in a row, but still, the fact that it gets that hot at all, and you're trying to in sand grow corn
Mhm.
or grow wheat, we're better suited for that, and it's not even technically our preferred crop. Corn is in Nebraska, or at least in western Nebraska, soil type wise, it's a preferred crop, and it's actually still damaging to our soil. But you take that to Utah, and it's exponentially worse.
Corn makes a lot of money.
Well, sure,
Yeah, that's why
but
they
when
do
you
it.
run out of water, there goes the city.
Well, that's why they do it. They make money.
Yeah, but if they run out of water,
Well,
They
I
don't
that
really
doesn't
care
care.
about
Yeah,
that.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say they're not caring as long as they make
I
If
guess.
they can
I'll
pay
tell
their
you
water
that.
bill,
Yeah, like,
Well,
that's just
but
how it was when I grew up
I guess
too.
my thought is, if you don't have a city, you're losing money because the farms aren't going to be able to keep up because everybody's got to move because there's no water in the city for the people to drink, to shower,
Mhm.
to wash, or even to water more crop.
They make money. That's the thing. People are very greedy when it comes to money. If they're
know.
gonna make money, then they're gonna make money. They're not gonna. We see this with billionaires. Sometimes they don't care about whatever. But
We can actually really take that exact topic and put it in franchising for esports. It's the same thing.
They don't care,
No.
and that's like the biggest issue that I have, especially. In fact, they don't care so much about money, or they care more about money than anything. To the point where TSM's league team has just played their last game because they can't. It's not making money. They don't
Yeah.
care enough to keep it, especially even if it is like a legacy thing. TSM was one of the best teams in North America for the longest time, and now because they're not making money, they're gonna cut the program.
well, I mean, are they cutting it entirely, or are they just cutting it for right now until they build up?
We have no idea.
Yeah.
We just know
Well,
that they can't play.
UNK cut their baseball team, and then they ended up building a fountain. So I don't know.
That's kind of what Lexi and I were talking about. How they're probably going to take those funds and move it somewhere else.
I mean, so
Yeah.
they still have other esports teams, so they're probably gonna
They're
put
not
towards that.
hurting.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear about G1?
Mm-mm.
They've not played their players for 18 months.
They've not
Or
paid
their staff.
players or staff.
18 months.
Isn't that like illegal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
highly illegal.
Their last official tournament, I'm pretty sure, is the HCS Salt Lake City tournament this weekend. That's
Wow.
going on right now. And they lost the team to lose to Asia was G1.
I mean, if you're not getting
It's-
paid, I would
yeah.
also be pretty
Yeah,
mad.
I'd start a throwaway at that
Listen,
point.
if I'm not getting paid, I'm not playing. That's just like
Yeah, they're not
that's just
getting
awful.
so they hadn't gotten their winnings. Well, they hadn't gotten their winnings or like the division of it because it goes to the team first and all that to get split. And then none of the staff has gotten anything for however long, and so G1 is done as well.
I mean, if
So-
you're not paying your team, you
Mhm.
can't. You don't have a team.
Yeah, at that point, some of these business practices that we're seeing.
Well, esports is so new that we're definitely going to see some bad and unhealthy
Yep.
business practices come out. Especially, I mean, like you just said, G1. There's also plenty of other ones that aren't talked about
Mhm.
really.
Yeah.
And I think we need to start regulating esports, the business, just as like a game.
Yeah,
That'll come in due time, especially with Microsoft that just bought out Activision
Hoping.
Blizzard. I
Hoping.
think that's really going to change the esports industry, and we're going to be able to what Microsoft has planned for Overwatch, COD, everything else that they have planned. We're going to be able to see what they do, and if they do a good job of it, then it'll probably become the baseline for esports.
I'm hoping there's a lot more regulation and a lot
Mhm.
more, I guess, like stricter rules, and like you're going to
Mhm.
check up on your teams a lot more
Yeah.
often when it comes to pay and such. Because those things are like, if you're not getting paid, you're not surviving.
Mhm.
This money, this world runs on money, and if you don't have the money to survive, you're not going to make it.
I'll tell that to some banks from 2008, but
Well,
either way. So the other thing to note here is the HCS is Microsoft ran. So if we're going to look at leagues and we're going to see how that runs, it's likely that if Microsoft is going to kind of do the same thing that HCS has, there's not going to be any franchising.
Mhm.
There's not going to. It's going to be open bracket as it should be,
Mhm.
right? But the problem with HCS right now is there's like a big. It's Optic. I want to say Optic Space Station, and I want to say Phase are the big three. I hope Phase lives, but with their business
No.
practices, hey, I got to keep a rival. You know what I mean? You got to have like Optic and Phase is the rivalry.
Are you rooting for FaZe or Optic? That's
Optic, bro.
okay. Good.
He
Greenwall.
just wants FaZe so that he can beat them.
Exactly. Like we just need Phase for the culture.
I was
You know what
gonna
I'm
say
saying?
like
It's like how we want iOS so we can beat them.
Yeah, like there's rumors though that the owners of FaZe are looking to sell FaZe, and one of the interested people is actually Hector. Next, he wants to get FaZe.
Interesting.
It's kind of interesting. Imagine Optic FaZe, like classic Optic FaZe logo.
Mhm.
That'd be kind of sick, but it'd also be kind of sad.
I mean, I don't think that they would.
It'd be like
With
conference
everything, with
realignment.
everything, well, with everything happening with FaZe and all the controversies that they have consistently on a consistent basis with what some of their
Well,
members have said,
So
I don't think that.
So the thing there is all the people that are controversial are the people selling.
Mm-hmm.
So FaZe Rain, for example.
Yeah.
And then FaZe Pomage jumped ship to join Optic. He was one of the good ones. FaZe Jev is probably the most uncontroversial people of all non-controversial. Of all time. He just sits there, screams at the game, just like every one of us. But that's all happening. FaZe, we don't know where they're going to be in a year. We don't know in 6 months. But another team that I was thinking of that had stuff going on.
You got 4 minutes.
I got 4 minutes. Oh. So, yes, starting in 2025, there will be no company-owned teams.
Whoa.
So no Shopify, no Nerf, none of the random companies that name their team or heavily beneficiary of their team. Basically, no company's gonna own a team and play in CS:GO.
Really?
That is huge.
That is huge.
That is so good
That's
for
gonna.
that is good for culture.
It's
right
good for
there.
culture, but it's going to impact the economy of the conference or the CS:GO thing as a whole. I
The
think.
league.
Well,
Yeah, it'll impact that a little bit.
It's because of finances
well,
Mhm.
sure.
and
but
funding.
in the long
And
run, it'll be
funding.
more interesting. I'm
Well,
not
yeah,
looking to
it- well, yeah,
go
it-
Shopify.
Well, no, it'll be more
And-
interesting,
And,
but
they,
it'll
and
just.
it's like they have a cool name. It's some of their teams, like the
Yeah.
Shopify Rebellion.
Well, that's just.
But
all
then
their
they
stuff.
don't say the rebellion
sponsor.
part. They just say Shopify. Like you could have called this something so much cooler,
Mhm.
but it's required to say Shopify instead, which is like frustrating because you could have been referring to this team as Rebellion. And like that sounds so much cooler.
Yeah, and they have a good logo too.
I know they do.
Like they have a great
I
logo,
know they do.
but they have to call it Shopify.
Mhm.
Apex has a Nerf team,
That's funny.
and
That
I mean, I
checks out.
talked about it with Aman in class. Remember,
I do
where
remember
I
this.
said, "Why is this a thing? Why?
Where did this come from?
Where
and
did this
why
come
is it
from?
here?
Why is it a thing?" And he just said, "It is what it is." And I'm here like, no,
It's a branding thing.
it's unhealthy. It's like if the NFL had a Nerf team. It's the same thing, and it technically is the same thing.
Well, can't anybody buy an NFL team if you
Yeah,
have enough money?
yes.
It's just the same thing.
I mean, yes,
Yeah.
It's just instead of one person, it's a company buying it. Which,
but it's like that team calling themselves Nerf. Like,
yeah, I mean, couldn't the owner technically change the name to whatever they wanted to?
I mean,
It'd be bad for just like it's like Twitter. It'd be bad for branding, but they can still do it. 'cause
It'd
they
be
own
a
it.
controversy thing, and you're going to be talked about in the news for
Yeah.
days. So
yeah, Dallas Cowboys renames to the Nerf Blasters. Nerf or nothing.
For nothing.
okay, well, on that, I think we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Ironhide Construction is hired. They're looking for hardworking, self-motivated individuals who are team players. Ironhide Construction is for an experienced project manager, estimator, apprentice, skilled laborer, and erector or installer. They will train the right people and make sure you understand the mission and requirements. At Ironhide Construction, own it, be honest, and do it right. Apply today and learn more about their other benefits at ironhideconstruction.com, where they're committed to you every step of the way.
Whether you're looking for a new place to call home or trying to sell your current you want to make it as easy as possible. So why not use a realtor that works harder so you don't have to? The Carpe Diem team at Nebraska Realty is your go-to realty team for all your residential and commercial needs. They pride themselves on working hard and making your life as easy as possible while educating you every step of the way. Contact the Carpe Diem team to seize your moment, whether it be buying, selling, building, investing, or even commercial real estate. Give them a call today at 402-429-8121.
The Southern Pecan Cake from Beatrice Bakery. They don't just call anything Southern, especially when it's baked right here in Nebraska. But there are standards you have to meet, like a rich, decadent, moist caramel cake? Check. Bursting with too many large pecans to count? Check. Big enough to share with the whole group? Check. But delicious enough that you won't want to share? A big check on that one. The Southern Pecan Cake, the newest cake to the Beatrice Bakery lineup. Try it for yourself at Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of...
Are you tired of living? It's time at Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery. We're your one-stop shop for expert care in Lincoln. From broken bone complex reconstruction, our skilled team will help you get back on track. Visit prairieortho.com today and discover why we're the trusted choice for thousands of patients. Don't let pain hold you back. Take the first step towards a better pain-free life with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins. Call 402-489-4700.
You've driven by GE Landscape Supply countless times, likely without even knowing, at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. They sell in bulk to save you money, and you can buy anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 to Friday and 7 a.m. p.m. on Saturdays. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627. Sandhills Global out Sandhills.jobnation. Sandhills is looking to fill hundreds of new openings in sales, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Sandhills has a business fast-paced with a focus on internship opportunities are available at headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Lincoln's premier specialty grocers. Take the quality venue home with you with our hand-cut steaks, handcrafted burgers, and locally sourced offerings. Browse our wide selection of specialty products designed to enhance your dining experiences with cheeses, spices, sauces, and more. We also have an exclusive collection of liquors, whiskeys, and bourbons at prices you're sure to love. Stop in to the Butchery by Venue today, located in our Venue at Home storefront at 70th and Pioneers, just 2 doors down from Venue Restaurant and Lounge.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back. Sure. Starter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. StarterHeyman.com.
This is Big Red Esports on 93.7 theticketfm.com.
This is a new one. Oh, okay, there's a different one.
Okay, well, we're back. We've been talking over the break, reintroduced, but this is and continue left off on the finances of gaming and the economy of esports, and in relation to and trying to relay it to conference realignment and the current state of college sports and stuff like that. There are some games that have come out that have really been counterculture, at least according to developers, and are not the new norm. And that is Remnant 2 and Baldur's Gate 3, which have both released in the past week or so.
Yeah.
And neither of them had a pre-order to pay for with extra content or whatever. Neither of them have microtransactions and have spoken out very aggressively against them. Neither of them have any DLC expansions.
Well, I feel like Baldur's Gate could come out with some DLC expansions, but
that's justifiable.
But they do it way later down the line. Like they did it with Neverwinter, and that was like way down the line. They did it with other Baldur's Gate, but it's like it's something that you don't necessarily need to have a full experience for the
Mhm.
game, which is the nice part.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, Baldur's Gate 3 or the Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter series essentially is Dungeons and Dragons but video game. And Baldur's Gate 3 is as far as I'm aware, and I have not played it yet, but I have a friend that has played it. We're going to go through a run of it probably in a week or so. And 100 hours roughly is the time it takes to complete. It's Dungeons. It's the closest it's ever been to Dungeons and Dragons.
It's classified as an MMORPG though.
It's not massively online.
Well,
It's an RPG.
Okay.
So the way that I understand the multiplayer is
You can play it with people if you want to.
yes,
It's like with like friends or something.
yes. It's so up to a party of 4,
Mm-hmm.
and if you don't have a party of 4 people, it gives you AI,
Yeah.
and you can tell that AI to go away.
Mhm.
But they don't recommend it because
Yeah.
the game is very specifically built for 4 people.
Mhm.
And then if you have say 2 people, you can control the AI. So you
Well-
basically get two characters to control.
You get
Yeah.
to do the same things for when you play Final Fantasy. When you're going to dungeons, you can put in 3 AI to help
Yeah.
cover all your bases, especially because as a healer class, I don't do damage. So it's nice.
You can still do some damage.
Yeah, you do
Yeah.
like damage over time, and then you also have like a rock spell, but that's about it. Like nice to have those AI that's built, obviously.
Yeah. So I think the great thing about this is Baldur's Gate is one of the best-selling games on Steam history.
Yep. And they sold like what, like 60 million?
Yeah, I think so.
60 million in like the first week, which is insane.
That doesn't surprise me. It has a very like big cult following
Yeah,
from
that's
the
true.
series.
Well, and it gained a lot of traction
That's
just in
cool.
general
Just
too.
because of the one trailer for it where it was the bear and the person.
Oh, I
That's all I'm gonna say.
forgot.
That's all I'm
I
gonna
forgot about
say.
that. Basically, you can romance the bear, right? Is
Yeah.
that it?
Riz up the bear.
You can romance.
Well,
Anything in
yeah,
the
yeah.
game.
Yeah.
If I may, I have a bit of intel, and it's not too spoilery. Just a forewarning to anybody that plays. There's a question somewhere in the game, I don't know where, it says, "What do you dream of at night?" And that'll lead to a romance section, and so you could say anything. So somebody said Jesus, and it recreated Jesus in the game, or they recreated Jesus, or however it ended up working.
God.
It was pretty sick. I gotta say, it's pretty awesome. But yeah, so the cult following that and Remnant 2 have gotten, and the relative non-predatory stance of Diablo 4 all have been great changes and massive sweeping love for
There's
these
like a
games.
sense of approval from everyone that
Yeah.
they're being designed this way. They're not coming out with an immense amount of bugs. They're completed games.
Mhm.
You don't have extra content that you have to pay extra money for. And there's no like you were saying, microtransactions and stuff, which is plaguing every game that I try to pick up and play. Well, Final Fantasies. Listen, they still have their own subscription service thing.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have to buy the game and then subscribe to it. And I enjoy that particularly. I'm gonna be honest. Even if I do have $15 to spare every month, it's not something I enjoy doing, especially if I can spend $50 on the game. You
Yeah.
know, not like actually.
Did you buy the expansion?
No, I don't know, but it's just like regularly that game rather expensive. You know, so it's just like having a game just be the game, and that's all you're getting, and being excited enough for that, and not having to be like, I just buy the next DLC or I have to do this. That is an exciting thing, especially for video games in this time, because that's a very rare occurrence. And usually it's you can also buy this DLC and you can also buy this gear and you can also do this and that. And it's like I just want to play the game.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give a dichotomy here. So this wave of game really started in terms of being complete, not needing patch notes later, not needing anything after, no microtransactions, not any revealed expansions. Elden Ring, and then they are doing an expansion, which is fine. I'm okay.
Well,
with
it's
that.
been a while.
Yeah,
It's
been,
okay.
It's been
You can add
what?
content.
Well, it's been over a year.
I was like, you
It's
can add
almost been 2
content
years.
now.
Almost. Yeah.
So yeah, you can add. I'm fine with that. 2 years. I mean, that's well overdue. I think at that
That
point.
gives you time to build up your finances to buy a DLC, in my
Exactly.
opinion.
And all these games that are no microtransactions, nothing. And then you have something like Destiny, where over the course of the last few years, it's slowly gotten more and more predatory in terms of its service, where they want you to pre-order the game and it's $100 for that, and then you get the whole year, right? $100 a year, basically, and then you have all these partnership skins that you can get for armor. You have all the battle pass, where I mean that's included in this season cost for $100 still. And then you have all these cool cosmetics in the store, but you don't have as many cool pieces of gear outside of the store. And in the state of the game that they released 2 days ago, which basically was the nail in the coffin for a lot of hardcore players, and basically they're waiting for the showcase for the last expansion in the original narrative to really, they're really just waiting for the last piece of the original narrative, and they're going to give away. Same like and I'm done for real.
Yeah.
And so they come out with the state of the game, and they essentially say, we know that these modes that we've been kind of neglecting aren't getting player base. Because they're not getting player base, we're going to stop working on them. So Gambit, the PvPvE mode, that's getting no new maps. They literally said they're going to stop. They're not doing anything. They're not changing anything about it anymore. They're leaving it, except for maybe Sandbox. Crucible, maybe one map a year. And by the way, this is a company that recently got $3.6 billion from PlayStation and production and increased everything else, but can't seemingly find the resources to have a more than one map a year. And also the team that has been increasingly adding Eververse, which is their store, armor items or cosmetic items in general. Shaders now are sometimes Eververse only and silver only, which is only paid by money, not in-game earned currency. And all of this together, and then they say, we made a promise where ritual playlists will always have a yearly rotation of new armor. And then they made that armor not look great, so people didn't use it. And now they're saying, because it's not being used, we're stopping that because it's too hard to make it. With the amount of, they said, we cannot make armor. We cannot make armor at the rate of a year. We cannot make a new armor set for these playlists, which, by the way, so they basically said there's 3 sets a year. They're all, so 3 sets per class. So like 3 on Titan, 3 on Warlock for the 3 different ritual playlists, which is Gambit, Crucible, Vanguard. They're all the same, but with different color distributions.
Chromas.
Not even chromas. So chromas in Destiny are glow. So
in League, it's just different colors.
Oh, okay.
That's
so,
why I'm
yeah,
saying chromas.
It's just different. It's just different.
Also,
color
if you don't know,
distribution.
DLC is downloadable content. So it's additional content that you add to the game.
Different variants of color.
Yeah, it's different variants of colors with slightly different patterns in terms of like iconography.
Yeah.
They said that was too hard because it's 3 base sets that they change variation on for 2 different variants. And somehow that's too hard. And so what essentially a lot of people said was, so it's too hard to make one preset. When you make all of a sudden 4 to 5 new sets per season that are
only purchased
only in the store.
Yeah.
And then you get, a new raid set, or at this point, they're all reprised. You get a new gear from the raid, get a reprise set from an old raid that they took out that you paid for earlier. And mind you, those are free to play. But still, we get 2 decent sets from raids, if they're good dungeon sets of armor and weapons, and all of those have the same base architecture, so they look, so they don't change the geography a lot, or whatever you would call it. The geography of the gun does not change a lot.
Design.
Yeah, the base design is basically built on top of with whatever aesthetic of the enemy type. So we're running into a lot of things where it feels stale because they're reproducing stuff that is free to play or that you pay for in the expansion does not live up to the Eververse version of it. It's running into the same problem as World of Warcraft. And in a game developer convention thing, Bungie themselves said the lesson that they learned from Forsaken, which was their greatest expansion of all time, besides maybe Taken King, was do not over deliver. You're making a pattern. And now they're arguing that we have our expectations too high for a small dev team that just got $3.6 billion and expanded their development service, and they're adding 2 new games. They're making 2 brand new games.
Well, that's probably why it's taken away from Destiny, is because they're focusing probably more of their assets towards the new games instead of just fixing what they have. That's probably what they're doing.
Well, but the problem is they're not saying they're doing that, and they did say that they're increasing the Destiny team size, and they're doubling down for another decade of Destiny. It doesn't make sense, and that's the problem with most games. Call of Duty is the same way. Any other popular title game. I mean, look at Riot Games and the skins, like League, Valorant, all these skins. As far as I'm aware, a lot of people have put thousands over the years. A lot of people have put thousands and kept those afloat on skins. And that to me is just where we've gone wrong in gaming in general. It loves to
Well, it's because if one company can do it, why can't all companies do it? They're going to see this company is making tons of money in League, and then that's why Overwatch went free to play, is because they weren't getting new players to come in and buy us games. So they made it free to play. They made it so you have to buy a battle pass if you want to get all the premium skins. They also made it to where you have to buy the skins now and different currency. You can't earn a currency through the battle pass, but they implemented that like a couple months ago only. So I mean, you see every company doing it just nowadays.
What I will say is that Riot Games actually has diversity in their skins, and I will say some of the newer skins do look, and that has been a complaint that we've had actually recently. And at least Riot's listening. I'll put that, but they are genuinely unique, and that's the issue: is that Destiny is not making their content unique.
Well,
that's what you've been saying at least.
The Eververse.
Well, yes,
is
that's what I'm saying. Is that you have to pay for it, but we have to pay for our own unique skins in League too.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
But I'm just saying I'm using that as an example. It's an industry-wide problem.
Yeah,
they are unique,
I will
but
agree.
you do not earn unique skins.
And that
You
hasn't
buy
been
it.
a thing in League, like almost. Well, you can have one skin through ranked grind. You have one skin through ranked grind, and then you have the honor level skin that you get for free. And that's if you are an honorable enough player. Then you get those 2 skins for free each season. However, nothing else really you ever get for free. And everything else you have to pay for. And I understand, like, Destiny, you have to pay for what? Gameplay and skins?
So you have to.
And that's the issue that they have, is that you're already, and that's why Overwatch plays, because you don't want to pay, which is why Final Fantasy, to pay for gameplay, but you don't have to pay for skins. That's the difference.
Well,
that's the different business model.
So let me clarify Destiny. Essentially, you get a limited amount of access to the game for free.
Like Wizards 101.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and then you buy the expansions and you get access to all the extra content. The reprised raids that they are bringing back are free to play. That's the only stuff that is, and they're ironically the only good raids, which is probably for the better. But it's all the old stuff when they had more passion for the game and were more creative with how they did things.
And it's just the fact that the company isn't listening to their people, because it's been an issue for a while, and you guys have complained about it, but Bungie doesn't care.
Yeah.
That's the main thing, is that they're putting so much of their attention on their games and monetizing their game that they already did their cash cow, that they don't even care anymore. And it's back to the thing of how companies really only care about money. They don't care about their people, the players, nothing. They just want money. So, with that depressing note, we're gonna go to a break and we'll be right back.
If you want all the latest technologies from those big banks, you also want that hometown feel when you walk in the front doors, choose Midwest Bank. They have top-notch technology, banking so easy, and they also have the friendliest staff. Time to get to know you and treat you like family. You get the best of both worlds when you choose Midwest Bank. I live on the go, and now I can bank on the go. I have everything I need at my player Alley Bank, and at Midwest Bank, you'll love banking here.
At Ascend Aesthetics, understand that you want results and you want them fast. That's why they've developed the fastest weight loss and body toning programs that are clinically proven to shed extra fat, boost muscle mass, and tighten skin without having spent hours at the gym. Reveal your leaner physique, ignite your testosterone levels, and boost your energy with personalized plans tailored to your goals. Learn more at slimdowne.com or call 402-480-6680. Ascend Aesthetics, where trans begins.
Up your kit game with Kitchen Tune-Up. Experienced, creative, and dedicated technicians on their team, Jason, Ron, and the team bring your kitchen dreams to life. Say goodbye to outdated spaces and hello to a renewed, personalized kitchen that will make you envy of your friends, neighbors, and family. Experience quality craftsmanship and customer service when you choose Kitchen Tune-Up. Visit kitchentune-up.com/Lincoln-NE today or call 402-200-4697 and achieve the kitchen tune-up of yours.
Bagels and Joe is the perfect place for breakfast or lunch in July. Try their new lemon cream cheese, any bagel or breakfast sandwich. And try the caramel latte, as 10 degrees from that drink will go to the Great Plains Trail Network. 4 locations in Lincoln and 1 in Seward. Bagels and Joe.
Hey, moms and dads, bring the whole crew to a Salt Dogs baseball game and unleash the fun. Visit Haymarket Park all summer for fireworks Fridays, souvenir Saturdays, Sunday family fun days, and more. With 50 home games, even weekdays can be unforgettable. Planning an event? Make it a home run with group discounts. When you need an outing the whole family will enjoy, unleash the fun with the Salt Dogs. Call 402-474-2255 or visit saltdogs.com for tickets.
Husker fans, this is Matt Davison with the 1890 Initiative. You've probably heard about NIL, name, image, and likeness, and now you can have an immediate impact on our programs. This is Nebraska's premier NIL company, and with your help, we can maximize our student athletes' opportunities with NIL and prepare them for life after college. Nebraska has always been a leader in college athletics. Let's do the same with NIL. To learn more, visit 1890nebraska.com. 100% of your donation goes directly to Husker student athletes. That's 1890nebraska.com.
Picture a hot summer day, sun blazing, the fields as far as the eye can see. Now imagine you're a teenager making outdoors. To Nats Detatling Inc., where they're not afraid to sweat. This summer, join the Nats team for an unforgettable experience. Forge friendships, learn responsibility, and earn money. Visit notafraidtosweat.com now. Nats Detatling, where hard work meets good times.
Are you tired of living in pain? It's time to take control. At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, we're your one-stop shop for expert care in Lincoln. From broken bones to complex reconstruction, our skilled team will help you get back on track. Visit prairieortho.com today and discover why we're the trusted choice for thousands of patients. Don't let pain hold you back. Take the first step toward a better pain-free life with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins. Call 402-489-4700.
Eagle chassis are back and better than ever. New owner Mike Boston, who has been building for the last 2.5 years, quality raw material Eagle chassis have always been made with. Located in Lincoln, Nebraska, Eagle Motorsports LLC will continue to provide sprint car teams with the safest, most durable chassis there are. They will give drivers the strength, flexibility, and durability that they need to win on race night. If you're looking for a new chassis or need repairs made to your current one, call Mike at 402-826-0302.
This is Big Red Esports on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Z. I'm the Nebraska Esports Club president. I'm here with my co-host. Sorry.
You're fine, you're fine. I'm Lexi, I'm the social media manager.
I'm Jaden. I'm the Call of Duty game manager.
And to start off this hour, we're going to talk about something that I've been bringing up for maybe the past couple of weeks that I've been here. I was not here last week, but Faker, the star-studded mid laner for T1, which is a Korean League of Legends team, has finally returned from his hiatus of recovering from a wrist injury. And immediately, as soon as he returned, they win their next 2 series. They've been on a losing streak since Faker left. And everyone thought they weren't going to make it to playoffs for Worlds. And as soon as Faker comes back, their spot is secured.
That's insane. He's literally like carrying, I don't want to say he's carrying the team. You already talked about this a little bit, so I'll let you kind of, hash out your theories, but it's just insane that they can.
Fluence.
Yes.
Jaden had just mentioned how they have dropped as many games this last 4 weeks without Faker that they had dropped the entire of last year's split
Yeah.
or the last split that they
Last-
played.
I think it was the last 3 or 4 splits.
Like
something like that.
they don't drop games easily ever, and even especially in Korea, which is the shocking part is that they were always super dominant in Korea. And the fact that the minute they lose Faker, they drop just as many games as they had lost in the last 2 to 3 splits, which is insane because that's a whole entire season. So my thought process is from whenever I watch Faker, he's almost always teamed up on by the other team. There's always 2 to 3 people putting their resources into stopping him from becoming a bigger threat. And the issue is that if you're not spending your resources to stop the entire team, because their entire team is pretty good today. Their jungler has a few issues that I've watched recently. He's been messing up a little bit, but we all have issues. We all have our mistakes. I can't play on their level, so I can't really criticize too much. But it's just the fact that they're sending so many resources to stop Faker that they don't have enough resources to stop the rest of the team, I think. And watching Keria, which is their support player, and Gumayusi, who's their ADC, which is their physical damage carry, just be able to dominate because they're not resources to hinder their abilities, really shows how impactful the fact that Faker is such a huge target can lead to. He may not be doing the best on the team, but he's still drawing that aggression from the rest of the team.
Yeah, it's just crazy that these teams are having these mindsets of we need to focus on Faker, and then they're letting other things slip, which is why that they're.
Oh yeah,
losing
it
these games.
is.
And it's
so
so
wild.
interesting that they haven't noticed that yet. And they haven't maybe this person's pushing at the top. Maybe we shouldn't, do that or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't
no, I
know.
know
I don't know
exactly what you
everything
mean.
about it.
I think it's more than that. I think it's more than just Faker. It's having a 2 to 3 pronged
No, and
enemy,
that's what
of course.
that's what I'm
But
saying.
we're saying that because Faker's back friendly teaming up on him, and that's the whole reason why.
Well,
it's not just because of his procedure. It's that he isn't the when you have a Faker, you have less threats on the team. They have a really good team, I will say. Their top lane is pretty good. Their bot lane is one of the best in the world. Keria has been called the best, not just the best player. And so they have some of the best players in this league, and they don't do well without Faker because they don't have as many ways to attack the other team. They don't have that power, I guess. When you were saying multiple pronged team, it makes it a lot harder to stop them because there are so many different alleyways that they can take to take you down.
Yeah, it's the fact that when you cut off one head, there's still 2 more, and you can't get them all down. It's the same as, say, having a great tight end room and a great wide receiver room and a great running back room with a decent line. That level, you're not able to control all of those zones, and unless you're, the top of the top, you're not going to be able to do that. So what it sounds like to me is just it's so proficient in every level, you can't properly control each one because
Yep,
if
and that's
you
what I
give
was
up mid
saying.
for Faker, if you limit that and try to divert it elsewhere, you're gonna get through or
Yeah.
anybody else. It's just how dominant he is as a player that it creates that problem, which is just so impressive.
And the last game that I watched them play against Sandbox, which Sandbox cannot make it to playoffs, I don't think. They would have had to win this last game against TI 2-0, which there was no chance that they were going to do that. That Faker actually died at the beginning of almost every single team fight because he was so heavily targeted. But that allowed Gumayusi and Keria to get onto their backline, and they let Gumayusi free hit. So he was just sitting there throwing abilities, just doing damage, and they didn't care. They were just about getting Faker and Owner, who's their jungler. And it was just the fact that you're not paying attention to the other threats in the room. You're so focused on, okay, well, Faker's back, you have to take him down. That's not how this works. If you're going to want to play perfectly, you're going to have to take down everything. You're going to have to play your lane perfectly, which is really hard to play against T1 bot lane because they are so there's so many details that you have to pay attention to. They will really make you think harder than you need. I think in that matchup, it's just that their strategy is insane. Carrie is one of the best supports that I've ever watched, and it's just like you have to be careful on your toes and you have to be ready for anything to happen. They will take you down in a second, and as soon as they have that lead, you're done for. Like I was saying, like on the breaks. So it's just the fact that I don't know. While Faker was gone, they didn't have to expend those resources to take down that mid laner. He wasn't a threat. They instead actually focused on their lanes, and that wasn't helping T1 because they needed that lead. They do really well in mid game when they press their lead, but early game and late game, it's really like a toss up.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, that was a lot of
No,
words.
you're fine. I'm just kind of like, but I mean, like, do you even just think that like the reason why that these teams are just like focusing on Faker is just to say that, oh, we took down Faker and we took care of Faker? Do you think it's almost like a pride thing of like, or do you think it's just like like him just having an intimidation thing like in general?
You can watch clips from even last year's Worlds, and it's still just impressive.
Yeah.
To me, because he still has one of the quickest reflexes I've ever seen. And the fact that people recognize that he, even if left alone, even if your mid laner can kind of go toe to toe with him, he still has better mechanics. And it's really hard to beat out just straight mechanics, especially when you're on par with everything else. And so a very understanding threat to be scared of. Faker obviously is a very skilled player, but I think you need to put trust into your mid Faker. The biggest brag you can ever do is not that you team killed Faker, it's that you solo killed Faker.
Yeah.
If you kill him by yourself, that is a feat by itself, because that is a skill check. That's what, like, it is technically just that you are egoing that matchup. You have to win it. If you don't, Faker runs off with the lead and you're never coming back. It's just impossible. So it's just like you have to choose between a single man carry who can 1v5 or the entire team being strong.
Yeah.
And being weak. And it's just like you can't win. And I think that's why T1 is so successful.
That's crazy. And it's all because I don't want to say it's all because of Faker, but it's insane.
The influence that he has.
Yeah. It's crazy. That's insane.
It's just impressive. And it's also just the fact that he brings so much good mentality to the team, I think. Every single time he died first in a team fight, he laughed. I thought it was so funny. He's like, I'm literally worth nothing. Why are you going after me? It's just like that mentality. Okay, no, we got this. It's fine.
And
like,
plus, he probably also knows that they're doing that, so of course he's going to keep going there and trying his hardest just to make sure that his team can then do the best that they can and then win.
It's just like he's a really good team player, and I really admire the thing for a lot of league players to understand. Of like, it doesn't matter as you die. It matters how much utility you are giving. It's like in COD, if you're holding a point with someone, it doesn't matter if you die, but if they trade for 2, it's worth it. You know, if you're trading for a higher value than if you die, it's worth it every time.
I mean, when you get a nice little double going.
Yep.
Oh, baby.
It's like, okay, if you're both peeking and they shoot you, but if your teammate collects 2, or if you collect 2 and your teammate goes, you're fine.
Yeah.
You're holding the point.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's just like the nice part. I think that's what Faker realizes. Like, he doesn't have to survive every fight. He just needs to make sure his team wins the fight.
Yeah, I mean that's what a lot of people in every game kind of go through is you have the stats that tell you your KD is 1 or it's 0.6. Right? As long as those kills that you get are the important ones, you're doing the best you can for your team by positioning for the important kills. You're not just chowing in the open. You're not doing anything like that. Your KD might be bad, but and if your team's winning, if your team is winning and say you're the one on time, right? But your KD's, I don't know, let's say 10 and 13 or 9 and 13. You're not doing a lot of engagements. You're sitting back, you're getting the time. That's what you're supposed to do. You just haven't won all your ones, and that's fine because some of them you're going to get cut when you're trying to rotate. You're going to get, you're going to lose 1 or 2 of those, 22 gunfights, whatever. And that's the kind of player that you got to strive to be at least to start, because then you're foundationally sound. And if you're just foundationally sound at any level of the game, you're a great player.
And it's like, it doesn't matter, I think, your KD doesn't really matter all that much. We even saw that proved by a pretty infamous league player named DeBaus, who literally ints his games. He goes and he'll go 0 in like 20 and still win his games because he takes that time to be efficient, like with his skills and everything. He'll go and invade, and it seems stupid. He'll go into the enemy side of the map and like take all of their farm. And then he's like putting the jungler behind, thinking it ahead. Like, he dies for it, but even then, it's still you're giving your team gold lead, and it's just the things you're doing with purpose. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like you're not dawdling. You're not.
It's a strategy. It's just your strategy and how you play it. And what we saw with the Apex stuff was to where that they would like kill their healer or something. They would force their healer to die to make it look like that and fighting and everything. Anyways, it's just all strategy. It just more depends on
a lot of us mind games.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a really quick break and we'll be right back.
This Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com and the internet. NTK FM for 93.7 The Ticket.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated by Ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience with Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman to the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah. We would definitely recommend Starter.
Sure.
Solder.
Ever wish you had another lightsaber? The trick service. Well, what if a real out with all types of missions and services? Give Erica a call at 402-466-606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
Arnold's Tavern in Havelock is the place to be this summer. Best place in town for shuffleboard. Come on Wednesdays and learn from some of the best players on the Shuffleboard Corner. Come on Sundays for open house league all day starting at 11 a.m. and enjoy $3 tall and $3 well. Shake off the start of karaoke on Monday nights. And don't forget, happy hour is every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and you are always welcome to bring in your own food. Arnold's Tavern, in the heart of Havelock.
Bud Sanders, President and CEO of LIBA, the Lincoln Independent Business Association. Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket for the LIBA Business Hour, as we discuss local business and highlight those who are thriving in the Lincoln area. It's the LIBA Business Hour, Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and The Ticket.
Problem gambling can destroy an individual's finances, relationships, physical, and mental health. If you or a loved one are struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
If you want all the latest technologies from those big banks, but you also want that hometown feel when you walk in the front doors, choose Midwest Bank. They have top technology. They make banking simple. They also have the family who will take their time to get to know you and treat you like family. You get the best of both worlds when you choose Midwest Bank. I live on the go, and now with Midwest Bank, I have everything I need at my fingertips. I'm volleyball player Allie Batenhorst, and at Midwest Bank, you'll love banking here.
Landscape Supply countless times, likely without even knowing. At 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction. They sell in bulk to save you money, and you can buy anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to GELandscapeSupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Pass the sticks to the Nebraska Esports Squad as they take you on a journey through the wonderful world of video games. Right here on Big Red Sports on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, guys. I'm the Nebraska Esports Club president, as well as the League of Legends game manager.
I'm the social media manager. My name is Lexi.
I'm Jake Chilke. I am the Call of Duty game manager.
And we were just talking about, obviously, just strategy in video games and kind of realizing that especially for the difference between like solo queue and like pro esports or just esports in general is the team part, the team aspect of like you're not going to be the only carry on your team. You have to play for your team instead of yourself. And so that kind of explaining how as long as you're doing things purposefully and trading like healthy sort of resources, I think that you can do things smart and still not have the best KD or the best accuracy. As long as you're playing for your team and whatever works for them and like is advantageous to you guys, it's a good fight, you know?
Speaking of strategy, it's almost like you need strategy in real life.
Shocker.
Shocker. And yesterday, Kai Sinat,
I think it's Sinat.
he was hosting a giveaway in New York City, giving away like PCs and consoles, gaming chairs, and all this other gaming equipment, basically. And he just posted about it on his social media, and it was in Union Park Square. And there was like thousands of people there, and it looked like a mob. Like it was insane, and it got so out of hand that like his live stream went out in like a minute, and the police had to call because people were like jumping on top of like a construction site, and they were like throwing paint around. They were like throwing things at police officers. Like it got really out of hand. And there's even a video of like Kai's car driving away. There's people like holding onto his car, like trying to get inside of his car. Basically, it was insane. It looked like a riot. It was crazy.
Like I don't put it past him because it seems to be his
thing.
You know, just like the content that he's creating, it really does seem like his audience does seem a little bit out
Younger.
there.
Well, and they were,
younger.
they were saying like there was kids under like 8 to 10 out there.
And it was weren't like the subway lines getting clogged and
Yeah,
everything.
well,
because-
they had to stop the subway lines. Like the businesses around there were like shutting down businesses because they didn't want people like coming in.
like,
even though
ruining
people needed shelter too to get like they were just like, on the street. They saw like this group of people running around. It was insane, and I feel like he should have warned the police. But there was also something brought up to where like NYPD has people that monitor social media, so it's like how did they not catch this? That went viral very quickly. And there's also even the question as to did if Kai did not bring it, didn't we don't know if Kai even brought anything to give a giveaway. So basically, he could be charged criminally if he did not bring anything to the giveaway because then that's simply a fraudulent, that's a scam, and he could get taken into custody and charged with like things if he didn't have anything with him to even give away, which we don't even know if he did at that point.
My understanding is he did bring things.
I haven't seen the police report. I watched the
I
police
did- I
statement. I watched the police statement yesterday live, and they said that they were in contact with him, but they don't have any more information upon whether or not. So it depends on the police investigation as whether they can really confirm or not confirm that he did bring stuff. It just because I mean he was only in like a little he was in like an SUV. That's all he was in, and if he said he was bringing like a ton of stuff to give away, and that's the only car that he had, even if it's one PS, he can still technically get away with it. But it was just insane, and it was just very hectic, and it got out of control very, very fast, and I'm sure people got hurt, and the police officers were saying there were like kids with like bloody heads running around. Like it was absolutely insane. And I don't know, I think this is a good testament to show or to like really inform people that Twitch streamers are becoming really famous, and that these Twitch streamers need to realize how famous and how quickly like famous they are getting, and how they can impact other people's lives, and how they need to be cautious of it, because you like somebody could have gotten stampeded and trampled over and could have suffocated and died. That's a very common thing with gigantic, mobs, is that people can get easily trampled over and suffocated. And if this would have happened, then like I just think should have been just good to have it on the news, and just to crowd control is very important when it comes to.
There's a reason why Slow is putting so much work into security and making sure the police know where they are, making appearances and what's happening, because we understand that you have a really large influence on people whenever you're famous, and that can cause people to kind of do things uncharacteristically and not let's put it like that. Some people act out violently. We've seen that with people who are obsessed with certain celebrities. They do not understand that what they're doing is not out of love. It's very a violent act, or it's not like this impression. Like you're not going to impress someone by doing this thing. You're literally committing violence.
Yeah.
And it's just understanding that like you have that and make sure that your audience understands like what is expected of them as well as what is expected of you.
And I really hope that this kind of shows other Twitch streamers that if they do something live in person, they need to have security or have a good established thing and not just say, hey, I'm going to be in Union Park today at 4 just randomly. You can't just do the day of. Like, you should have some planning out to really manage crowds if they get out of hand.
I think a lot of this stems not from the person himself, but the fact that there was free stuff.
Well, it's both.
Yes, it's the each that was able to be achieved, but the main driver
It's the free stuff.
is the free stuff and his lack of foresight to see that's not going to go all on the thought of honor, right? Like, people are going to show up. It's free anyway. They're going to grab it. They're going to run, and then people are going to fight over it. That's how it goes when everybody's wanting these things that are in limited number, and they're very expensive for a lot of people. Live in a very expensive city, and it's hard to get by. So it's
I think it's all
easy
of it.
to see where it went. Yeah, there's
It's
so
all
many
of it.
components that
Yeah.
go into it, and
Well,
yeah.
And to also do it in New York City too, one of the most crowded and populated places in the United States, isn't like if you did it in Nebraska, maybe other people would show up. Maybe.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
So it also depends on where you're at. It depends on what you're giving away, who the person is. Because if it was like me, if I was like, hey, I'm giving stuff, like, nope, you guys should show up. It really is a factor of what he was giving away, how popular he is, because he's like
He has
probably
a
like
platform.
he's like the next XQC, I would say. Like, he's that famous. Like, he had 40,000 people on this live stream that only lasted like maybe a minute or two, which is insane. Like, and then you have all the people in person, which is like maybe like 2,000 people in person. Really out of hand, really fast. I hope this just shows other Twitch streamers or other, social media influencers that if they're going to do something like this, they do need to be a little bit more well informed and be more prepared in the future.
And I think a lot of like the seasoned Twitch streamers do understand that, especially with like, the offline TV or Valkyrie or like XQC or like Ludwig, Cutie Cinderella. XQC is a little bit
I don't know about
iffy.
him.
He's still iffy. But what I mean is just like a lot of the older seasoned Twitch streamers understand the amount of influence they have for PDA and the amount of like their platform and the audience that they have, and they need to understand and communicate with their audience what is expected of their behavior wise. And that doesn't always work. Because we still see people getting swatted. We still see people getting harassed. There's still horrible things going on out there. But in like the name of admiration and love for some reason. But
That's not even part of it
anymore.
I think it's just a
It
meme
wasn't.
and troll.
It wasn't ever.
Yeah, I think it's just a meme and troll. At
Well,
this
there's
point.
trolls, but there's some like, obsessed with the celebrities to the point where they're doing horrible things. Is what I mean when I say admiration and love.
Yeah, I was saying swatting specifically.
No, I wasn't. That's not what I meant.
troll.
That is trolling. But I was saying like harassment, constant
Stalking.
spam, stalking. All those are things people do out of obsession, out of what they say admiration and love. Those are also things that you need to understand. Like, that's not okay. That's not okay behavior. And those are honestly oftentimes looked at as acts of like violence and like intrusion. You're not supposed to do those things. So just like understand your platform and inform security. That's just my bigger things. Just like maybe plan ahead a bit more. Make it clear on how you're supposed to win the free things.
Instead of just saying I'm going to give it away.
Yeah. I feel like that's another big proponent to is like how these people don't have the information that they needed to have for everything that's going on. I think if you said like, oh, it's gonna be like a raffle or something like that, then maybe there would be more structure.
Yeah.
But you have to implement that structure in the first place.
I just think he got so quick. I just feel like he got so big so quickly that he didn't really understand how famous he is and how many people would actually come to this.
It's so easy to look at a number on your Twitch screen and be like, oh, there's 20K people there. And it's just nothing, it's like it's just a number. When you see that in like real life of what 20,000 people looks like, that's when I think it needs to click. I think maybe the situation would help him realize how famous he is, how much influence he has on people, the damages that can be done. And I hope that Twitch streamers coming up and coming from here on out understand like their impact.
Reasons why we have things like TwitchCon, to where you can see all of your favorite Twitch streamers in one place. They've got security already there for you. They've taken all the, I mean, one is kind of a hit or miss, but usually
it's rough.
usually they have security and they have things implemented just in case. It's not the best thing they could ever do, but they have a con for it. But if you're gonna do something yourself, plan ahead of time. Tell people about it.
Part of me thinks he already knows how big he is. I'm gonna say why.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen clips of him. I don't watch him personally,
Mhm.
but I've seen clips. He very much has the goal of becoming an actor. He said, I am able to do this now. He realizes how big he's gotten. He does skits all the time. Like, he knows.
Mhm.
Most of his streams are skits
Mhm.
for the most part, it's anyway. I think there's staged events that happen, and it's like Aiden, which is another guy that is very bad at what he does, but gets away with it somehow.
I mean, it's intoxicating, and I think people need to understand that you're not just getting attention, it's that you're actually impacting physical human beings, and it can also impact people who don't care about you. That's the biggest thing. They're not even in your community, nothing, and you're still responsible for them too.
I mean, this thing shut down like the area for like 2 or 3 hours, I think, and that stops traffic. That stops all the subways. It closed down the shops. That's costing the shops money to pay their people who will not have people come in. You know, it's just it impacts everything around them, and I'm sure people are going to be like, yeah, whatever. Like people are going to blow it off. But I mean, if people are walking away with blood on their head, and they're throwing paint around and throwing rocks.
How much money did you ruin on a construction site?
Well, that's the thing is that they're like throwing the paint.
Yeah,
Throwing,
you're literally wasting the money that was in a budget to build something.
Well, then,
and you're impacting someone who wasn't even a part of it.
Yeah,
they didn't sign up
Well,
for it. They didn't want to be a part of it. They were just bystanders, and now you've royally screwed them over financially for that day. Maybe it's even for that month, year, whatever it is. You have screwed over someone's budget. You've screwed over someone's income, timeline, all sorts of things because you decided to be too rowdy.
Yeah.
You decided that you wanted your whole audience there, and you didn't plan for it. You didn't expect it, or you didn't tell your audience how to behave.
Well, I mean,
or you didn't, I guess, model that.
This is very similar to TanaCon. Do you remember TanaCon?
I remember TanaCon.
Oh my god.
I remember
It's basically just another TanaCon, except it didn't sell tickets. It was just a free event for you to come, which is even worse in my opinion.
Well, that was more of a con than it was anything else.
Well,
The other kind of con.
TanaCon?
It
Yeah.
was like
TanaCon was a scam.
It was
Yeah.
I wanted to say con.
It's just like the other thing of like you need to be more prepared for everything that could happen. She didn't have anything.
She didn't have water. She didn't even have enough rope for everyone to come and sit down and even stand in the whole venue. And yeah,
It's just like, you know, we've had this issue for a while with influencers especially, and there needs to be some way to regulate a way to make sure that we're not hurting other people or businesses, because those businesses and people did not sign up to be part of it. They did not understand that there were going to be issues or like setbacks or even like damages done. They did not want any of that to happen, and these people decided to come in and do it. So,
and this is also going to have a negative impact on Twitch and every other streamer on Twitch to come to whatever. So what? Then now all the people that don't watch Twitch don't use Twitch are going to be like, you rowdy little children. They're just going to group it all together, and that's unfortunately is that we don't want that to happen because not every streamer is like that.
yeah. So I mean, it's just really a frustrating situation. We're gonna break. It's been a kind of a sad episode this week, but we're gonna have to break. We'll be right back.
Voted Best Vape Shop.
Generation V.
Is thrilled to announce our station is now open at 27th and Superior.
Generation V.
Explore with the largest kratom, all your favorite brand disposables, liquid, and premium THCA flower.
Generation V.
We'll guide you through our perfect fit.
Generation V.
With locations in Lincoln, Omaha, York, Kearney, and Beatrice. Visit our newest store now open at 27th and Superior in Lincoln. GenerationV.com. E6 nicotine.
There's nothing like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmont beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals. Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln and across Nebraska by offering a number of services. From group homes to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the support that allows people to live fulfilling lives. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a rewarding career supporting people with developmental disabilities, you can check out open positions along with learning more about services at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices.
This is Bud Seinhorst, President and CEO of LIBA, the Lincoln Independent Business Association. Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket for the LIBA Business Hour, as we discuss local business and highlight those who are thriving in the Lincoln. It's the business 9 to 10 on 7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com.
It's Lincoln's premier specialty grocers, the quality of venue home with you. With our hand-cut steaks and roast offerings. Browse our wide selection of specialty products designed to enhance your dining experiences with cheeses, spices, sauces, and more. We also have an exclusive collection of liquors, whiskeys, and bourbons at prices you're sure to love. Stop in to the Butchery by Venue today, located in our Venue at Home storefront at 70th and Pioneers, just 2 doors down from Venue Restaurant and Lounge.
Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln and across Nebraska by offering a number of services. From group homes to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the support that allows people to live fulfilling lives. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a rewarding career supporting people with developmental disabilities, you can check out open positions along with learning more about services at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices.
If your home water doesn't taste right, look right, or smell right, just call Bryant for the solution to your water problem. Call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Look at your car. It's probably has a few dings and nicks all over it. Don't be that guy. Get it upgraded and repaired at Renew Your Auto. At Renew Your Auto, they offer tons of services: ceramic coating, window tinting, paintless dent repair, washes and details, bed liners, body shop, and more. Where can you go to get services like that all in one place? Schedule your appointment today at renewyourauto.com. See what Renew can do for you.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
This is Big Red Esports on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back. I'm Z. I'm the Nebraska Esports Club president, as well as the League of Legends game manager.
I'm Lexi. I'm the social media manager.
I'm Jaden. I'm the Call of Duty game manager.
And to brighten up our talk for today, I wanted to kind of think back a little bit. School's starting soon. We're getting to go back to our esports program as it comes back to us and starts everything up. I just said the same exact sentence like twice, but it's okay. And I wanted to kind of talk about what got us all into esports in the first place. It may not be the most heartwarming like story or anything, but it's still just something of like where we started and kind of a reflection of like how far we've gotten.
Okay,
Anyone
I guess
can start.
I'm getting looked at.
Well,
Anyone-
I'll start. I'll start.
Well, you looked like you were gearing up to say
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I
think-
was.
no, I was thinking about it, but
I mean, I can run through my thought process.
I can go.
Okay.
Go.
Okay, fine. You insist.
You guys look at me like, well, we're gonna get going on this. Like,
well, it's because you always like have your hands up as if you're about to talk, and then we're like,
Yeah.
okay.
It's like, okay, go.
okay, so I guess my viewership started off and on in Black Ops 2 for Call of Duty, which I mean, go figure, right? But speedrunning was a huge bit of it too, and then a bunch of Call of Duty Zombies Destiny World First Raids. I wouldn't consider those necessarily esports in the same vein, but it's still a competitive scene. Obviously, Call of Duty and Onward has been, and so being inspired by players like Karma, Scum, all the original Optic Dynasty, Green Wall Baby, but FaZe, where it was that's no scopes. I still miss the feeling of a DSR 50 quick scope. And anyway, so all that had off and on interest over time, hardcore in the band and all that. So I did zombies. I've gone over this before. And then get to college. I'm only doing band. I was only doing band in college. For that because then I had a lot of free time for playing my games. And then I saw the club at my sophomore year club fair. Saw there was a Call of Duty thing, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. So I went to the community night and then joined the team later as a substitute player. And this is history. Now I'm the game manager.
I'm going to ask you another question just because I have an answer to it. And I wanted to see if you guys have an answer to it. Do you have a favorite play in all of your esport history? Is there a specific play that has given you like the chills and that you just have it like ingrained in your head?
Oh man. Oh, now I gotta think.
Okay, we'll talk about when we get to my esports journey, but I don't.
Okay.
There's nothing that I can like. There's like certain clips that I've seen of like Overwatch. I was like, oh, that's cool, but there's never been like a oh my god
Like
kind of moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll explain why.
No, that's understandable.
So I've got a couple, and
I knew Jaden was gonna have an answer.
I've got, and this is like over the years, Advanced Warfare Scum on acing it to win. Oh, it was so good. It was just so nice. It was such a good. You could take him in any game, and he's done some great play. His final match against this past year, Modern Warfare 2, it was during major qualifiers, and it was his last game. We didn't know it at the time, and he went on an insane 6 kill streak to end the game, and it was electric. He started by running out of like a door, and there's like a stairway. So he jumps down the stairway. He realizes that he passed somebody. 180 gets him, goes back in, then goes down the hallway, turns back around, gets a double, and then ends with another double. The guy went off.
Imagine jumping down the stairs, realizing you saw something in your like peripheral vision. You're like, oh shoot, turn back
Tail
around.
whips.
That is impressive.
Yeah.
That's like reaction speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And the other thing would probably be from this year. I just started getting into Halo and a bunch of other esports outside of Call of Duty. So Formal, who is an ex-COD player and multi-world championship winner for COD, now is a world champion for Halo with Optic, and they have a dynasty and all this stuff. But he last major, it was a home major, and while they didn't win, he had an insane 5 or 6 kill spree that nobody could stop him. He was double chowed by people. He beat both. He was double chowed again, and then eventually died to a rocket. That's how you had to kill him. Like you had to kill him with a rocket launcher, but he just went off, hit every shot. It was like 6 perfects. It was beautiful. It was such a great play. It was electric, and it gave me chills. There's multiple moments like that, but those are the standouts for me. There's 3 there.
Do you have any that stand out to you?
There's a couple, but they're all Dota. So Dota 2 is known for very showy ults on their character smiths. It's like they're very graphically. There's a couple of them that I really got into, and this is all because of my boyfriend, who, like, I think it was the second time we went on a date about video games, and he goes, I have to show you my favorite play in Dota. And this is how we started dating. So there's this one objective where you all have to be inside of this like cave and fighting this monster. And this monster's like a neutral. So it's like a PvE almost. So like it hits everyone, does not distinguish. So you're fighting this monster. This whole team is in there. There's only 2 people left on the enemy team, and they don't have any vision on this objective. An objective. It gives you a second life. It gives you extra abilities. It gives you refresh. So when you use the refresh shard, it basically gives you back all your cooldowns, which is huge. So you can get all of these things from it. And so there's a character, and I don't remember his name, but his ult is that he jumps in and does this giant AoE stun. It's called an Echo Slam, and it does a lot of damage too. And then they paired that with called an Ice Blast, which takes some time to travel across the map. This is giant like ball, this orb, and it just explodes in like this, obviously like an ice blast, but it does a ton of damage as well. So these 2 players timed it so perfectly to match their Echo Slam as soon as the ice blast went off with no vision. And they got the other 2. It was what this like 2 million, and the really big casting person. I think casting personalities really make stream. The casters for it were screaming, and just and that play gave me also thing for Dota is that they do these things called Truth, which is a documentary of the 2 grand final teams, which I think every esport should do, where they follow around the last 2 remaining teams and document on how they prepare for their last match, because that's just so interesting to me. Like there's sports psychiatrists they bring on, they all meet together and do like these strategy talks, they do hype up like everything, and it's interesting to see just how each team handles it. So I was watching one of those, and they add voice lines to the game. Voice lines is which is one of the European casters screaming one player's name, and it's just like for 7 seconds straight. And it's this guy usually so it's really rare for him to just not talk a mile a minute. And when he pauses just to say this guy's name, it's like, oh my gosh, this is like a really big thing. So this guy, his carry is getting jumped on, and it looks like really bad. Like there's already took down like 3 of their teammates. There's only 2 of them left once again. And his carry's on like the last inch of his health. And I named Seb, he still plays. He's like a 31-year-old, I think, and he's still playing. He blinks in, which means there's like a dash. It's like an instant dash, and taunts everyone. And they kill everyone. And he saves his carry. And so for that whole entire taunt, they're just screaming his name, Seb! And that's also just like chill. So those are my 2 favorite plays I've ever watched. So I don't know. That's like a big proponent of why I'm in esports, is because of the passion behind it. So your story. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So like I don't really have a story with esports. It's more just I was always interested in playing video games. I grew up my age who had older brother. Continue Xbox One stance, so that was really my only 2 options kind of growing up. So I mean, like yeah, exactly.
No in between.
So it's not like I really had a lot of opportunities to play and kind of dive more into it, but I definitely watched like the classics like PewDiePie, and watch them play games. I watched a lot more like commentating gameplay and everything, and more storyline gameplay, story-based gameplay,
like RPGs.
Well,
kind
like
of?
story-based games, like The Last of Us, for example, like more games like that versus League or Overwatch. And so Overwatch was really my first dip into the toes into like a competitive game scene. That's how I found Twitch. So it was like, oh, people are streaming this game on this platform called Twitch. Let me go watch it. And then that's how I found FaZe and everything like that. And so that's how I kind of got introduced to it. But I never really fully like sat down and watched a lot of esports were really my thing. I think more of why I'm just getting into it is because I just like the industry as a whole. I just like the community. I like the people. I like the video games. It's more about community than it is for the actual sport. For me, I think the sport is great. I think it offers a lot of great things for people, but it's not necessarily where my heart and passion is. Again, like, this is why I'm more marketing journalism kind of person, because I like more of the community side of it than the actual sport. That's just, I don't know, it's very clear an esports team, but that's just, yeah, that's why, like, I sometimes, if I look confused when you guys are saying stuff, it's probably kind of confused.
No, it's understandable. These two, like, especially I feel like a lot of
COD,
esports
yeah.
nowadays, it's like there's so many,
Mhm.
like, there's so much lingo, there's so much
Well,
jargon.
and every like every game has different lingo, and so even being like the exact same thing in a different game, it's called something different. Like,
Well, and that's why a lot of us were like, okay, well, Genji.
yeah,
Like, you
yeah.
kind of start relating it to
Yes,
different
yeah.
characters in different games. That's just how you understand it, you know? But I mean, I think the esports community as a whole is wonderful, and I've made so I totally understand, like,
Yeah.
loving more than just the game.
Yeah.
It's the people you're sitting next to and the people that you're playing with, you know?
And that's my story into quote unquote esports, even though it's not really
Well,
into
you're still a
esports.
pretty big part of it. You still understand
Yeah.
a lot of it. You keep up with the news, and it's like you seem to know a lot about the current events than I do. Even sometimes I'm just like, whoa, I didn't know that. So you keep on top of things.
Shucks. Okay.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I played Nintendo games mostly for most of my life until I got a laptop when I was in high school, and I started playing Stardew Valley. And then my friend at the time got me into League of Legends, and I was so determined to be good at it because everyone told me I'd be really, really bad at it. And I was 2 games I felt horrible because I just kept dying on repeat. In practice, just for the competitive side to it. On like there's a homepage for a lot of games, especially for competitive games, and they kind of advertise their esports schedules. I popped a League client, and they were talking about Worlds. So I tuned in for Worlds because you could get prizes for just watching. And I was like, oh, I'll just leave it on my browser, you know?
Yeah.
And I ended up like watching it for like 4 hours straight. And I was obsessed with it. It was just so cool to see it played on a pro level and how different it looks. And then I got into League for the first 2 years of my high school experience. I got into college and I started dating my boyfriend and put on True Sight during the international season. And I sat there, and these are like 3-hour-long documentaries. I sat there and watched all 4.
Wow.
And I cried.
Oh.
I was sobbing to these documentaries about esports because the stories were so impressive. My favorite team now in Dota is Team Spirit, which is a Eastern European team. TI, which is the international, the year before Russia invaded, and half of their teammates are from Ukraine. And literally the end of that whole entire documentary is them calling their parents and talking about how like proud they were, and then they talked to each other about how they were all going to move to Kiev together. And I cried because it was literally I watched it the year after, and when Russia invaded everything, and I was just heartbroken.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, like, oh my gosh, this is more than just a game. This is like the real deal for so many people, and I was just like, this is what I want to be a part of for the rest of my life. I want it to be a big proponent to everything. And so that night of like 12 hours of me watching esports documentaries made me super into esports. And since then, I've probably gotten way too invested in a lot of storylines for esports. I cried at Worlds this last year because it was Faker versus his old high school alum and everything. And so it was just very emotional for me. And I'm a very emotional person. I cry at almost every movie I've ever seen. So putting that passion into esports has been probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. So that's my story.
Yeah.
It's a little
very different.
Yeah, I was like, we all have very different
Yeah.
like personal. That's what makes it nice, I think. Esports is so diverse and everyone comes from a different background. And that's what's fun about it. You get to talk to everyone about what's different.
Nobody really judges you for sports or how you got into gaming, which is really
Play the game.
It's very true. Yeah. Well, I mean, can afford it, you're
No,
watching, then that's different.
that's
But if-
totally fine.
Yeah.
I just more mean of like you're playing the game just for the look.
Oh yeah.
If you're not super into the game, it's a little different. If you love the game, we can tell.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Jadine can definitely tell if someone
Yeah.
loves the game or not. I think we're gonna go on our quick break here, and then we'll be right back for our closing segment.
Hey, moms and dads, bring the whole crew to a Salt Dogs baseball game and unleash the fun. Visit Haymarket Park all summer for fireworks Fridays, souvenir Saturdays, Sunday family fun days, and more. With 50 home games, even weekdays can be unforgettable. Planning an event? Make it a home run with group discounts. When you need an outing the whole family will enjoy, unleash the fun with the Salt Dogs. Call 402-474-22 or visit saltdogs.com.
Integrated Life Choices has been a place for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln and across Nebraska by offering a number of services. From group homes to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the support that allows people to live fulfilling lives. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a rewarding career supporting people with developmental disabilities, you can check out open positions along with learning more about services at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices.
Sunday morning. It's quiet, not in a weird, too quiet way. Calm, peaceful, tranquil. You pour yourself that cup of coffee. You slice yourself a hearty chunk of one of Beatrice Bakery's breakfast breads. Now, maybe you're an apple streusel guy. Nothing wrong with that. I can respect that. Personally, I'm a turtle nut man. Something about those pecans. But the real ones know, don't sleep on that date nut bread. Sweet, but not too sweet. Nutty, really, the perfect morning treat. Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum. It's less than 1 month until Guardians of Freedom Air Show comes to Lincoln's Air Park on August 26th and 27th. The show can't happen with volunteers, and they need your help. This is a great opportunity to raise money for civic clubs, student organizations, club sports, and others who want to be close to the high-flying action. For more details on how to volunteer at the Guardians of Freedom Air Show, visit link.com. America's been around since 76. That's nothing. America's still just learning how to party. The Irish? The Irish have been doing it for thousands of years. Party the Irish way at McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket. They've got your favorite Irish beers on tap, along with all the locals and domestics. Plus great house cocktails, a huge selection of Irish whiskey, and the best Irish pub food in town. See the full menu and list of specials on at mckinneyspub.com, or just head down there. McKinney's Irish Pub at 7th and P in the Haymarket.
You've driven by GE Landscape Supply countless times, likely without me, at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. They sell in bulk to save you money, and you can buy anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info, or call 402-467-1627.
Picture a hot summer, sun blazing and the field as far as the eye can see. Now imagine you're a teenager making bank, all while enjoying the great outdoors. Welcome to Nats Detasseling Inc., where they're not afraid to sweat. This summer, join the Nats team for an unforgettable experience. Forge friendships, learn responsibility, and earn money. Visit notafraidtosweat.com now. Nats Detasseling.
of Duty, it's like an accuracy and mechanic, maybe even game sense. It's like just knowing that you have to do this, and that's so different from Overwatch. And like with like League and Faker, like groundbreaking play was the fact that he cleansed damage that he wouldn't die, and that's just like a knowledge game sense thing.
Yeah.
But it's just like those minuscule details are what make the play great, and I feel like there aren't as many little details to pay attention to in Overwatch.
No, it's very much based off of skill and also just like team mechanics, making sure that you're paying attention. Like as a healer, making sure you're paying attention to your DPSs in your tank, making sure your tank isn't rushing in, making sure that your DPSs are paying attention to your back line. Like it's more about skill than it is the actual gameplay, like the actual fun ultimates that you have.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
It's kind of more based on the more impressive things are based on like game sense and mechanics than it
Yes.
is like the visuals of
Yes.
seeing something, or like even I guess like for COD it's like getting a headshot. It's like it's very or like getting or something like that. Like
or doing like that one dude did where he ran.
yeah,
with
like
that-
there's not
yeah.
really that because you have so many mobility characters and oh, that's impressive. So you just straight up like
Exactly, yeah.
pop everywhere, and that's just what your character does. So it's in COD when you don't have that, it's really impressive when someone can react that quickly.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, when you have things that make a skill gap and the competitive scene isn't you're doing what everybody else can do, but slightly better, it's not to say that there's not a skill gap. There's obviously like a massive skill gap, but in things like Call of Duty, where there's more game sense, you have to be aware because there's a spawn rotation, literally split spawns even, and you got to know where those things are, and you got to be able to react and predict where they're going to go every time. And centering is a huge thing because you got to be able to be like, okay, they're going to be here around this corner. I'm going to whip around at that curve and kind of thing. And that's not to say that like obviously there aren't any groundbreaking
I was gonna
Overwatch
say
clips.
I'm
but-
sure there are, but it's
I think Overwatch is very much more team
yes.
based, as well as like your comp. It's very comp based, so it's
Well,
very I don't know, very different.
If
From,
you
like,
ever watch any Overwatch League, I've watched a couple of them. I don't watch them consistently like Sam does, but I'll catch a couple there.
Holy Sam, we're here.
I know. But it's very more. You'll notice that when one person dies, either everybody goes back, or everybody just kind of goes and they regroup. Always regroup. They always wait for everybody. Versus like in some other games like COD, you guys probably just kind of can go wherever you want. Really more of a team based. I mean, there are some team
It's
mechanics.
team based, but you can still clutch.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
You still have,
it is
have
clutch.
opportunities, but and again, like in Overwatch, you have the tank. You have the heals versus COD. You just are a one man band, but you can be a one man band by yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's a
Kinda,
yes
yeah.
and no, but like it's incredibly
Yeah.
hard to clutch up. But you still can, and
Yeah.
in Overwatch, I feel like even harder.
Yes.
To clutch up, especially if it's just you versus 5 different types of people.
Oh, yes.
Since a lot of the Overwatch are so specialized in one category,
Mhm.
you're not going to have a healer who does crazy amounts of damage, or you're not going to have who does healing as
Yeah.
much as whatever. It's very like balanced in the sense of you are a role and that's what you're going to do.
Yes. 100%.
Like in League, even you have roles, but your roles can switch. You can play mid laners as supports. You can play supports as mid laners. You can play junglers as top laners. All sorts of things. So it's just like there's so much more customization. While in Overwatch, they really have it locked down.
Yep. And then again, like everybody counters everybody. You just have to know what the current meta is because they're always changing things. And yada, yada, just like any other game.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure Sam has some mind blowing plays that
I'm sure he
we
does.
don't know.
I'm sure he does.
But that wasn't our forte. We'll have to bring him on next time to
Yes.
talk about those. So, any other closing thoughts here?
We got to keep looking at conference realignment, and I think us as a group should definitely reach out to the new teams and get things going. And I mean, honestly, an 18-team Call of Duty Big Ten tournament, I'm wanting it.
That
I'm wanting
does
it
sound
bad.
really fun. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, esports, the more people, the better, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, we'll be back next week, Saturday, and have more fun with this.
Yep. Catch you guys later.
Thank you.
Integrated Life Choices has been an individual